Welcome back. Here we are, episode 100.
100.
Man, P, first of all, foremost, man.
Amen.
Congratulations to you, brother.
Congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you.
Hard work pays off.
Before we get going, I think we have to pay homage to those that have really helped us pave this path. And I want to give a special shout out to BP at the Boardroom. He blessed us with this little Gomez number 6. So we're gonna light this thing up.
I already cut mine, but yes, sir.
We're gonna light it up.
Shout out to BP.
Yeah, for
our
real.
very first guest on the show.
Yeah. So this is it's a big moment, man. We This is a big moment, Mo.
Yes, it is.
So it's only right that we smoke something really, really good.
Woo. Oh my.
Yes, sir.
Oh my.
So we're here.
Oh my.
So we're live at the Boardroom out here in Fort Worth. I want to just take a moment, man, to really kind of sit back as we smoke this fantastic cigar and really highlight, our journey to 100.
Absolutely. People always ask, like, well, how did you guys start? Like, what birthed this, all that? And the story doesn't change, right? But literally, it was Christmas break of 2018. I was on the way home from somewhere. My daughter had just been born like 2 months before then. You called and said, hey, I got an idea. I want to talk to you about it. Blah, blah, blah. I said, cool. And we both knew we smoked cigars. We met up like 3 or 4 days later and smoked cigars for like 4 hours, and the show was born. I remember Jay Scott walking out the back room like, well, hey, here's one people we want to have on the show.
Yeah.
And it's been rolling since then. I would like to say thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking of me. It works out the way it's supposed to. I think this is what we're supposed to be doing.
No doubt. And I appreciate you answering. And it's been it's been over 2 years.
Coming up on 2 years.
Almost. Well, since that December.
Well, yeah, 2 years and change. Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So I'm glad that you answered, but I love what you just said about we put this plan together. We worked that plan.
Yes, we did.
For a very long time.
Another 5 or 6 months after that.
Yep. But we went and talked to Jay Scott, who at that time I had never even talked to him before, never had a conversation with him, and really just said, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And he was like, yo, I like it, and I'll do it. So I think it's important for people to realize that when you have a great idea, to bounce it off of other people, right? Not to say that they can derail your progress or where you want to go, but ultimately it's always good to have a sounding board. Of
course. Well, a sounding board with a sound mind, right? Because, we've gotten to know Jay Scott a lot over the past couple of years. He's a sharp cat, and that's putting it lightly, right? And to further your point, the network of people we can kind of talk to now to bounce things off of, or say, hey, we're thinking about this. What do you think? Or when it comes to something that we're not familiar with, we now have resources to where we can say, hey, we're not sure about how to navigate this. Can you help? And now we get a response, and it's like, oh, yeah, just come holler at me. Like, I'm happy to talk to you guys about it.
So let me ask you this. We've done recap episodes before, every season. Here we are, season 7, episode 100. What's been the biggest nugget that you've learned throughout this entire process?
I don't know if it's quote unquote learned, but it's a combination of, as they say, hard work really does pay off, and it really is about your network. I think those two things have been, I've always believed in it, but they have shown themselves to be true time and time and again as we've kind of gotten this boat in the water and started our journey. there are people who you knew that I had never had a conversation with and vice versa. And now we're all this one really cool community where we can all see each other out and it's all love, whether we talked to them 2 weeks ago or 2 days ago. You knew Tex way before I ever did. But now, like, I can call Tex and get a pointer on something when it comes to the alcohol business. Or, our buddy Ryan Rayford at Drew Estate, who has been a godsend to us, who at every turn has just been A1. Every single time we've talked to him or run something by him, he's been on point. And so I think it's really cool to see just the growth and where we started to where we are now, and we're just 100 episodes in.
Yeah, for sure. As I reflect on the last 2.5 years, you mentioned it being a process, right? It's a journey. It's about getting in the trenches. A lot of times you say putting your hands in the dirt. But ultimately, where the first part for me is that faith, right? You got to have that faith, and you got to take the action behind that faith. And shout out to you for saying, look, if we're going to have a podcast, we eventually got to do a podcast,
Yeah. And I'm sure people are like, what do they mean? Like, we met in December of 18, we started the planning process, and we went for like another 5 or 6 months, 1 or 2 meetings a month, plenty of phone conversations, blah, blah, blah. And like May of 19 rolled around, and I said, well, if we're going to have a podcast, we need to start doing some podcasting. And so, June, we finally put that boat in the water and got going. And it's one of those things to where you and I have both learned throughout the numerous things that we got our hands into now, there's no such thing as a perfect plan. Like, inevitably, something's going to come up that you just couldn't account for.
Just go.
Yeah, it's just go.
Just go.
Like, the first step to getting something done is actually starting. Yeah. And a lot of people get stuck, before they even put their boat in the water, if you will. And so, again, like the journey we've been on at this point it's been really, really cool to see how this has turned out to be so far.
The idea of just going and the road will reveal itself as you go down that road.
I say it all the time because you ask. We've wrapped up meetings, so, okay, what are we missing? And we'll go through it, retrace our steps, and we get to a point where it's like, all right, if we're missing something, it's going to reveal itself to us because nobody knows everything. It's not possible. Whatever is out there we haven't accounted for will reveal itself to us, and we'll handle it accordingly.
And I think we've gotten to that point now. A lot of people don't realize that there's a lot that goes into podcasting. It's hot. A lot of people are doing it right now.
A ton of work.
It's a ton of work. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Dallas Leaf LLC. And in our first, second season, we had a little faux pas with the audio equipment, right?
Yeah.
There's learning lessons that have to take place. And you learn on the fly. And they were gracious enough to, continue to work with us. Never batted an eye, never said anything negative about the way that the episode was aired. I mean, here's the deal. We had a glitch in the XLR cable.
And didn't know it.
And had no clue.
Didn't know it until we got ready to listen back to it. And it was like, well, what do we do?
Yeah. And so, kind of want to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what we go through. The late night, staying up till 1, 2. There's been nights when I've stayed up all night, and that Dallas Leaf was one in particular, to get it fixed. But it all boils down to, if you have a drive, if you have a goal, and you're driven to succeed, you'll do whatever it takes.
And I say it all the time, like, we're going to put our hands in the dirt. So like when we get to like our ultimate destination where we're trying to get to, nobody will ever be able to say they got it the cheap way. Like, no, we paid our dues. We put our hands in the dirt and scratched it out. And we got it done.
What is the thing that you love most about being a part of a podcast?
Like you, I hate to sound cheesy about it, right? But it's a free space to where we can truly be who we want to be. Like, we're not worried about playing office politics. We're not worried about having to, quote unquote, be mindful of somebody's feelings who doesn't think the same way that I think or doesn't have the same grind and ambition that I do. Because ultimately, if we're not speaking the same in regards to drive and ambition and trying to get something accomplished, we probably don't need to be in the same room anyway. Or if we are in the same room, we need to be on separate sides because we're not the same. We're different.
Yeah, for sure. I love that it's ours. Same thing that you're saying, right? I love that it's ours.
We answer to nobody.
And I love the fact that you hear all the time, it's a journey, right? And you hear all the time, enjoy the journey, enjoy the race, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of gold in that, right? That we're building this up from the ground. We've built out a community. Thank you to all of our visionaries that are listening and subscribe and follow us on a weekly basis, right? Our goal is to grow this thing, right? And you look up and you say, this is a very, very special thing that we have going on here.
Absolutely.
And to see the fruits of the labor start to manifest has really been a treat, been very, very rewarding. Obviously, we could not have gotten to this point without so many countless people.
Oh man, I know. I already know where you're going. Robert Garcia of Farmers Insurance in Allen, Texas, the first gentleman who said, outside of you and me, the first gentleman who said, "I believe in what you're doing." For those of you, I believe he's somewhere episode like he's in the. Yeah. He's after Abel, but I think he's in the 70s or 80s. I think.
Oh, you're talking about
his episode number. But I met Robert at an art show, and he had heard about us or whatever. And literally first conversation with him, somebody introduced. He said, "Hey, I heard about what you're doing." He said, "Hey, here's my card." He said, "Let's have a good time tonight, but call me tomorrow. I want to be involved." And every time we talk with him, it's an easy conversation. Whether he needs something from us or we need something from him. It's just really good to have good people like that on your side.
I love what you said about having somebody believe in us, right? Or having somebody believe in you. I think that's gold, right? I think that drives you to want to even do more, right? There's an inner working and an inner drive that we all have where we want to do well, but the fact that somebody outside of your inner circle says, I like what you're doing. I believe in you. It just makes you want to press that gas down even harder.
Absolutely. Robert Garcia, like I say, he's been a godsend to us. She's in the building tonight, Edwina Brown, the owner of Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge.
Shout out to EB.
Another person who we told her, hey, here's what we got going on. And she said, whatever y'all need, I'm down with it. And she's been great ever since. I mean, you knew it before I did. And now it's like my big sister. Like I can call her, talk about anything. It's awesome. We're sitting in BP's shop at the Boardroom in Fort Worth, the very first guy who ever sat on the show with us. And to this day, we call him, we need something, what you need? No problem.
Bless us with these sticks.
Bless us with these amazing sticks, these Lido Gomez's. Oh my gosh, thank you again, BP.
It's interesting too because EB was like, look, you need to talk to BP.
Yes, absolutely.
And we had a fundraising event that we had done for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and wanted to do it here. Started chopping it up with BP, and he's like, absolutely. And then there became episode number 1.
Absolutely, yes. It was great. I said he's been great. EB's been great. The whole crew of Definition Cigars, the entire squad. I mean, there's 5 of them. Jamon, Jerwin, Jamal, Chad, and Neo. Thank you guys for all your support. We appreciate it. I'm fresh off the plane from Vegas for my birthday.
Yeah. By the way, happy birthday again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's March 16th, but still.
I appreciate it. I'm in Vegas, getting ready to go to the casino. I get a text from Jamon. Happy birthday, big dog. Much appreciated, Jamon. They've been great. Every time we see them, it's all love. It's like seeing your brothers, right? It's awesome.
And I want to say a big shout out to Paul Rogers over at Nexum Creative.
This could not be done without him.
100%.
Could not be done without him.
There's been a lot of conversations, especially early on, late at night. I'm texting or calling, and he's answering. He's answering these questions. He's helping me troubleshoot issues that I've had. The studio that he has, the new studio is
amazing.
Golly.
For all you creators out there who are watching, if you're in DFW and you want a studio to go record at, hit Paul Rogers at Nexum Creative. Top notch, sound stage, multiple recording rooms, like whatever it is you need.
An infinity wall?
Yeah, an infinity wall. Whatever it is you need to record content, Paul Rogers has got you covered.
Absolutely dope.
Paul, thank you so much, sir. Right?
And still here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw him a couple weeks ago. It's great. As you said, the folks at Dallas Leaf, the entire Army, they've been great since the day we met them.
You know what they remind me of? They're a group that moves mountains, yes. Right? They're a group that has an idea, and shout out to Ron. immediately puts that into action. And we'll touch on more sponsors later on, and a lot of folks, that have helped us get to this point. We got a couple of people here in the audience. I just want to say thank you to all of them that have showed up in support of the Vision Lab podcast. But what are you looking forward to most as we continue down this path?
Well, we have some big guests coming down the pipe very, very shortly. I mean, we just got done with Fawn Fawn Weaver of Uncle Nearest. If you have not caught episode 98 yet, we started off the month, women International Women's Month, right? You have to listen to that episode. She's brilliant beyond measure. There's a reason she's running such a successful organization, because she's brilliant and she's happy to share her wisdom and nuggets with you guys. As far as looking down the road, I mean, our YouTube channel's popping off now. We've got merch coming. We've got accessories. We've kind of got a lot of things in the pipeline that are coming very soon. We're coming up on our second golf tournament, the TheVisionLab Podcast Annual Golf Classic, Irving Golf Club, Saturday, June 19th. Shotgun start is 8:30 or 8 o'clock?
8:30.
8:30 shotgun start. If you want to be involved, send us a DM. We're happy to work with you. Proceeds go to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and
the Alzheimer's Association.
Yes.
And that's an important thing too, right? So one of the things I want us to do as we move in this space is do it differently, right? Community involvement, philanthropic activities, giving back to the community has always been an anchor within my life. As you know, both my grandparents were deceased of the aforementioned diseases. My grandfather passed away from multiple myeloma, so that's why the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, specifically of North Texas, is very important to me. My mother was up for Man Woman of the Year for 2 years running. The Alzheimer's Association, my grandmother passed away of Alzheimer's, and it's a deadly disease, man. If you know of anyone or have a father, mother,
cancer touches everybody.
It sucks. It truly sucks. And watching it firsthand, kind of take it from us, it was tough. And so those two associations are very near and dear to us. Also, the proceeds do go back to benefit the back to school as well. So we'll be putting money on lunch cards. It's all about the youth. It's all about creating an environment for those students to not ever feel without, right? I think a lot of people have been in situations that, don't allow for them to provide for their loved ones the way that they can, and everybody needs a helping hand. So giving back is such an important aspect to the Vision Lab podcast and what we stand for. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, let me switch gears on you since we're keeping it all the way organic. What have you learned about you? Because I'm going to tell you what I've learned about you in a second.
What have I learned about me? Yeah. I would say that I'm driven. I would say that, and I think that I've always known that I truly am a visionary, right? That I truly see something, and now that, you put in the work, you start to see it manifest. I'm learning that there's a certain element in the grind that I have that exists that you have to make something pop and work. But I'm learning that I'm a lot more connected than I realized. We got Jamie Winborn, right, on the show.
Shout out to Jamie Winborn.
Shout out to Jay Wynn. Anthony Trucks was on the show. And I don't even remember how that happened other than just reaching out
through social media. I remember you telling me about him. You're like, look, I found this guy named Anthony Trucks. We got to get him on the show.
Love AT.
Like, all right, cool.
Love AT. And then he connects us with Trent Shelton.
And Jeremy Ryan Slate, right?
And Jeremy Ryan Slate. So it's like, you start to see that you're a lot more connected than what you realize. And that the world is a lot smaller than you realize too. And so I just try to move about this space in the right way, trying to treat people the right way, whether it be our audience, our sponsors, anyone that fucks with us, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and not the sidebar, but we talk about things that we learned. We always talk about 6 degrees of separation. I think we've both learned that it's really only like 1 or 2. When you treat people the right way, 9 times out of 10, if you don't know that person directly, if you handle yourself properly, you're probably talking to somebody who does know that person. That's how Ken Hamlin got on the show. We were in the middle of a recording. We took a break, and I look at our DMs, and shout out to Jerwin. The definition was like, "Yo, I just talked to Ken Hamlin. He wants to be on y'all show." And now we can call Ken and say, "Hey, here's what we got." And he
sponsored the golf.
Yeah, sponsored the golf tournament. Now he's happy to rock with us whenever we call him for something. So it's great. Which, by the way, his Cigar is the Arrival.
Hey, listen,
top notch.
Top 5 for me.
Top notch.
100%.
Get you an Arrival cigar by Ken Hamlin. Ken, thank you for all your support. We will be in touch shortly.
I tell you one other thing that I learned, and I had to pass the baton, but I learned, that if you put your mind to something, you can do it. I started doing audio and video and editing, and I don't have a background in that stuff. You know what I mean? But we were determined, and so I knew I had to get involved in that, and you figure it out. You learn.
Right. From my standpoint, I always knew you had a certain business acumen, but I think I've told you now too, like, to trust it. And I think one of the things is, like I tell you all the time, like, go. Like, I'm in this free space in my life now, right, to where, like, if I have an idea, like, hey, this is what it is, let's go, and then we'll poke holes in our own stuff. But I think we were both of the mindset, like, what do we have to fear? The worst anybody can do is tell us no or not answer an email. So what? We're going to keep the party going. And, there's certain people out there who, at one point couldn't get them to answer anything. And then we get a certain person on the show. Next thing you know, here's an email and a message. Oh, hey, I want to get down. No, no hard feelings or whatever, but it's really cool. And I tell you all the time, like, trust your business acumen. Like, you got a mind for it. Like, you've got the sales background, like, but you understand the flow of commerce. I'm not a natural sales guy, right? But lo and behold, I can do it now. I can do it. I mean, in my day job, it's kind of reverse selling, right, as far as what I do for a living. But it's one of those things to where I've learned from you in regards to it, like, the price is the price. Here's what it is. Here's what we have that's of value to you. And it's been really cool to kind of learn some of that stuff from you.
Well, I appreciate that, Pete.
No problem, man.
I'll flip it on you. So what have you learned about yourself?
That one, I can learn how to do anything. Like, and that sounds like so mundane, right? But there are certain people who are just pigeonholed, like they can only do one thing. But I've learned throughout this process, I can do anything. I mean, when we first started, I was working at one place when we first started.
Got another spot?
Yeah, at another spot. Then, I don't know, 3 or 4 months in, that changed. Then I was chilling out for a minute. Then I met this cool chick named Jules, who, shout out to you, Jules Creative. She helped feed the creative bone that I had, and she's been awesome to work with. I can learn to do anything. It's really just a matter of, okay, because I'm one of those people like, give me the cliff notes and I can figure it out. Like, I can build a parachute on the way down. And I think that skill set has been sharpened by doing this show. It's been really cool to see, like, how far I've stretched myself across multiple fronts. And I think I had this show to thank for it. Like, it's been it's an exercise. And I tell you all the time, like, we're up late at night planning, okay, we're gonna do this, we're not gonna do this. And I tell you all the time, like, I love doing this shit. We have sleepless nights. So there have been nights we've been on the phone till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and we both know, like, hey,
facts.
And we both know, hey, in 4 hours we're both on the clock. But whatever, we get it done. And so the stretch, the growth, we had a meeting a long time ago with a guy who came in and said, hey, you guys have a great idea, but the universe is going to test you. And I think we're both down for the test, which is super, super cool. And we're equally yoked in our mindsets. Like, we're not afraid of hard work. We're not afraid to actually put our hands in the dirt. Like, it's go, and we'll figure it out on the way.
The 2 words off top, one of them you used, which is stretch. The other one is pivot, which you really talked about. I think you've learned how to pivot. And I appreciate from you that you're never downtrodden. You're never, you mentioned the 2 jobs, the transitions in the jobs, right? What I appreciate and learn from you is that, hey, it is what it is, shit happens, keep it moving, right? I respect the hell out of that. and I watched you pivot from being in the industry, for X amount of time
that I fell into.
right, and then completely going somewhere that's totally different.
And lo and behold, it looks like that's where I'm where I'm supposed to be now.
Right. And then, I think we talk about growth mindset on the podcast a lot, right? As a cornerstone and as a pillar to TVLP. I've seen you dive deeper and deeper into it. And I've seen it start to consume you more and more and more. You carry your book around, and we started talking about that since, at the very, very beginning.
I'm about to be on my third book.
Yeah.
About to be on the third notebook when it comes to TVLP and all the stuff we're trying to get done.
So it's been amazing to watch the transformation and the growth within you. And speaking of growth, when I say the word growth, what does that mean to you?
Never stopping, right? Like, there's just the regular concept of growth, right? But ultimately, growth, the true concept of growth is that you're in a constant stage of evolution, a constant stage of improvement, a constant stage of reinventing yourself, a constant state of turning things over, figuring it out, poke holes in your own plan. Like, we poke holes in our own stuff so that way somebody else doesn't have to do it for us. And sometimes that's not even enough, but yeah, it's the nature of the beast, right? Like I said a long time ago, there's no such thing as a perfect plan. I mean, even Steve Jobs probably had to go back to the drawing board a few times. You know what I'm saying? So it's growth. I just think a constant state of turning over, a constant state of evolution. There's no such thing as stop. There's no such thing as quit. Like, no, I'm going to figure it out. We're just going to keep going until we can't go anymore. As I'm enjoying this stick, I'm looking down these two bottles, right?
Yeah.
One of them is this beautiful substance here. Crystal and Tim at Class A Vodka, thank you guys so much for all of your support. Visionaries, we stand on the product for a reason. The slogan is Class in Every Glass. If you've not had it, hit their Instagram page. It's Class A Vodka. It's Class A with a K, Klase. They'll be happy to work with you. A great product. Again, we stand on it for a reason. Crystal, you're an amazing story all to yourself. We look forward to continuing working with you and some cool things we got planned for you in the future.
So you love Domino's.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
We learned that about each other.
We did.
We learned that about each other.
Beat the brakes off of Dallas.
Hey, now, we won't say no names.
Yeah. I bring that up because obviously we're a duo. And you got to learn your partner. And it doesn't happen instantly, right?
Correct.
It takes a couple of games and at least a couple of hands, maybe even a couple of games. How is it working with a partner?
It's good, and people ask us that all the time, like, what's it like working with a partner? It's good when you work with a partner who's paddling in the same direction. Like, we're in this car, we're in agreement on the direction we're going in, and whether you're driving or I'm driving, we're going in the same path. Like, I'm not riding in the passenger seat saying, hey, turn left when our goal is right in front of us, and vice versa for you. Like, it's easy to work with a partner who is, like, when we're equally yoked, we have the same mindset, we're in agreement, or as I say, aligned.
Aligned, yeah.
We are aligned, so it's very easy.
We haven't said that in a while.
I know, right? Growth.
Yep.
Growth, because aligned came from a place a long time ago. Blah blah blah. We've grown past that. But yeah, I think it's fun working with a partner. I mean, you know the work that goes into this. If you do this even the greatest podcasters, your Joe Rogans, your Bill Simmons, like, name your great podcaster, Tom Bilyeu, who you're a fan of. They got a production crew. They got people they work with. It's not possible for one man to do all this. It's not. If it is, show me that guy and I will shake his hand.
You mentioned other podcasters, and I'm a huge Tom Bilyeu fan, and Ed Milet, and having a crew. If you haven't noticed through our episodes, they've gotten better and better and better, and that's a part of growth. But we would be remiss if we did not give a huge, huge shout out to Adam and everything that he's done for the VisionLab podcast.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much.
We would not be where we are today if it weren't for you, man. So I just want to salute you, good sir.
Shout out to Jay Warren for introducing us to Adam.
Man, what?
Who knew an interview would turn out we get a great guest, and we have an audio visual guy who we're connected to.
And he's a member of the team.
Yes, sir.
He's 100% member of the team. So if you're still following us and still listening to the podcast at this point, this is our 100th episode, so we're celebrating, right? We want to take a look back in time, what that was like, our trials, tribulations, and really do a pull back the curtain and let you guys know exactly what we go through on a weekly basis. And really, it's more of a daily and sometimes hourly basis, right? But this couldn't have been done without so many helping hands that are involved in putting the production that you guys are seeing and or hearing. And so we're going to continue to do a number of shout outs. If you don't like it, you know,
we believe in saying thank you.
Yes,
it is what it is.
It's all about gratitude.
Who doesn't believe in saying thank you?
It's about gratitude, bro.
Come on now.
And so, you know, all these other big time folks, and obviously we believe that we're going to get there, right? They have so many different helping hands on the back end to get what you see, the final production, right? And so, like I said, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for those type of people.
Man, it's like we really sit back and think about it from the time we started planning to you remember when we went and had our little mock recording and we met that police officer at Cigar International who still listens to our show today
in Houston.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, here's my email address. Send me y'all's episodes. I see y'all here working. Send me your stuff."
I'm smiling because that was so terrible.
Right, we were sitting at the bar on a full day.
It was terrible.
And people were like, "Why are these two dudes up here with a microphone? They're not drinking."
Yeah, but we got it in, right? It's just funny, man. You start, like, 100 episodes is a lot, and it's really more than that because we got Behind the Dollar.
Oh, man. You know? Shout out to you for that concept. Behind the Dollar was birthed because, with the pandemic, everyone started holding on to their money. People got more conscious about investing and making sure they were just financially healthy. And you said one day, "Hey, we got to do something based off like just strictly finance." We, put pen to paper, poked holes in our stuff, and Behind the Dollar was born. And then lo and behold, James Aquila says, "Hey, I want to be involved." A man who runs his own tax service company, who is now an enrolled agent, I believe, is his official title.
He's an EA.
Yeah, so he's top of the food chain, and he runs his own. Like he didn't have to do anything for us. But he's like, "I like what y'all do, and I want to get down." And so now he is a sponsor of Behind the Dollar. And he's been helpful to us on so many levels, right? From making sure our paperwork is in order. James, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
You know, the theme here is growth. We talked about it, celebrating a vision. James Aquila and Behind the Dollar, and we talked about the birth of that concept, right? I see us doing a lot more of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Mini-series.
Absolutely. The reception we've gotten from, we have to. We don't have a choice.
And there's something to the finance side of things, right? I think it's I'm been listening to Earl Nightingale lately, right? If you're not tuning into him, amazing content. But he talks about by the time we're at the age of 7, we know how to read. But by the time we're at the age of 25, we don't know how to do business, right? There's a huge gap. There's a huge financial and economic disparity amongst cultures, amongst communities, and I think it's important that you can be educated on finance as much as possible so that you know how to properly align yourself with your goals and your vision.
And how to get things handled in a certain manner. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. I mean, we're officially an LLC. We got a TVLP bank account. Like, you and I've had to go to the bank in the middle of the day during lunch breaks to make sure things are in order. Yeah, we are married financially, absolutely. We're growth, gratitude. Thank you to our wives, our families who have tolerated the long nights. I'm just
being away from home.
Yeah, being away from home. I'm sure just like you, 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm sure your wife's like, "Where is my husband?" "Oh, he's downstairs working," or in my case, I'm upstairs in the man cave on the phone with you. We're just going through stuff left and right. And so thank you to Heather and Tamara, our kids, Missouri, Anaya, Harper. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, man. There's a lot more coming.
Oh, man, so much more.
When you think about our audience and the visionaries that are tuning in, what do you want them to learn, or what do you want them to get from the show?
If I can encapsulate that, right? One, we are in. If you have a dream, an aspiration, ambition, whatever you want to call it, now's the time to do it. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, right? I know, we're state of Texas, no mask, we're open back up for business or whatever. But if there was ever a time to try to make your life dream or your goal or ambition happen, now's the time to do it. Now's the time. People are working from home, so you're allowed to move about more freely. You don't have to worry about necessarily being watched like a hawk while you're in office. If you can multitask, you can work on two things at the same time. So I would say the thing that I would want people to take away from it is, if you're willing to get your hands in the dirt, and I said all the time, get it out the mud. If you're willing to truly put in some elbow grease and get some work done, whatever it is you want to get done, you can make it happen. We're living proof of it. We are living proof of it.
I'll echo those same sentiments, but I also think that I want people to understand that we're different. That we're not a cigar podcast or a review podcast that's going to talk about, the Lido Gomez, right?
Oh, a great stick.
It is a fantastic
shout out to Lido
stick.
Gomez. Hey,
we're not talking,
amazing.
We're not talking about pairings. We're not talking. I mean, we certainly show mad love to all of our cigar enthusiasts and cigar houses, but I wanted to create a space within the cigar community where you can come and learn about how to be a better version of yourself.
Yes.
So if there's anything, if you haven't picked up on that by episode 100, the main thing is
go back through and start from episode 1. There's an underlying theme to all of it. It's not hard to find. Like I said, if there is ever a time to make your life's dream or goal happen, now's the time to do it. Like, get to it.
Yeah, and like we're different. We're not in that same vein. And shout out to all the other podcasts that are out there. And there's numerous ones that exist, right? But for the cigar community and for visionaries at large, like, that's what I want you to pull away from this. That every week I can count on these guys to be consistent. I can count on them to bring quality guests or talk, and really get some good content out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Now you got me really thinking about it, right?
Good. Thinking's good.
Now you're really okay, that part of my brain is opened up. I think because we check out, okay, what if, again, you say it all the time, okay, what are we missing? Or what have we not thought of? Visionaries, listeners, viewers, however you're consuming this podcast, there's no perfect plan. And I know I said it earlier, but there's no perfect plan. But be in a position mentally to where you can adjust when something comes up. Inevitably, no matter how much time you spend on something, there's going to be something you just can't account for. It's the way the universe works, right? Like, the universe, like that gentleman told us in the meeting, is going to test you. Like, you can wake up tomorrow and say, I want to be a millionaire. The universe is going to say, okay, well, what are you willing to do for it? Are you willing to bleed for it a little bit? Are you willing to put in some hard work? Unless you hit the lotto, which happens to old people, right? You're going to have to work for it. That's just the nature of the beast. It's just the way the world works. And if you're really about what you say you're about, then you're going to get to the business of trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, as we continue down this road, we've talked about what we've learned. We've talked about how we've grown. What am I missing?
We can talk about like life altering events, right?
Okay.
So we're about a year and a half in. We were like about a year and a half in. I lost my dad, and I remember you said, "Well, okay, we can take time off," and I said, "Well, I get it, but at the same time, in the spirit of my dad, stopping, quitting, curling up in the ball in the fetal position like that, that's not who he was. That's not who you raised him to be. It just wasn't happening."
When we talked about this, and what you said is exactly what happened, right? In my head, I'm like, how is this man, going to go on and keep it moving? Like, I want to give mad props to you, bro, because I envy the way that you handled that entire situation.
I mean, I tell you all the time, like, people say they're old school, right? Like, my dad was truly old school, right? Like, in the matter of, he's from the generation of men who no one ever gave him anything. Like, he just woke up every day and realized, okay, I'm going to have to work hard for whatever it is I'm trying to get done. No one's giving me anything. So I can sit here and cry about it and not get anything done, or you can get about the business of moving and trying to make something happen. And so I told you, like, I've had my moments to myself, right? I remember the night we recorded with Brandon from Cigar Porn DFW. I remember driving down to your house, and a song came on my radio, and I remember crying on the way down to your house, and I thought, am I even going to be able to do this podcast? But I pulled it together, and I made it happen because ultimately, me curling up in a ball and going in the fetal position, just kind of folding up shop, he wouldn't have stood for it. First of all, and it's just not, as you know, it's not how I'm made. I'm not built that way. Like, it's what's the mission? We will accomplish the mission, and then we'll worry about our feelings and all that other stuff once the mission's got to be done. Because ultimately, I can stop and we can cry about it and sulk or whatever, but whenever that's all said and done, the mission still's got to be done.
Yeah, I was in awe on how you handle that.
And
I still am.
And like you, like, I'm a husband and a dad, so I got people who depend on me. So me just stopping and just trying to hit the brakes on life, that's not an option. Ultimately, is what it came down to. Like, that's not an option. So door one or door two, give me door one. I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah. So we both share the name Ryan.
Correct.
80s babies. And we also have something else in common, being girl dads.
Yes.
So this is something we really haven't ever talked about on the show. I think if you follow us, you know that we both have daughters. I've got 2, you've got 1. What does it mean to you to be a girl dad?
She's awesome, right? My daughter's name is Zuri. She's 2, going on 22. She's trying to take over my house slowly but surely. But I think the whole girl dad thing is cool because I am essentially, me and the good Lord, I am in charge of making sure that this woman, when she is released to the world, my job is to make sure she's got the tools equipped to handle herself and to navigate life, because life ain't fair. Stuff's going to happen in life. And so I play a role in how she's going to react, right? Because we can't stop certain things from happening to us. We can control our reaction and what we're going to do after that happens.
So for me, I look at my daughters and I have to be that image outside of God himself, right? I've got to be that image that they see that is a representation of providing for, protection, and love.
Absolutely.
Right? When they look at me and they look at daddy, they have to know that those 3 things are always going to be a staple within their life. You know what I mean? Whatever grind, I've got my hands on a number of different business ventures.
We have our hands in business ventures at this point.
But whatever it is, like, they have to know that this is why it's being done.
Yes.
And that it's done out of love. And for them to, as you said, go out into the world, they've got to know that whoever they're matched up with, whoever God has designed them for, that person has to meet that standard, if not above.
And I've already, we laugh about this. I've already told you, the first dude that comes to my door, God bless him. Yeah, that's just what it is. It is what it is. Like, God, I just say God bless him. Like, he's going to have to go through the ringer. I've already told you, like, I'm going to talk with his parents. Like, everyone who's connected to him, because heaven forbid if she comes back here the way she didn't leave. Like, I'll be on the news. My daughter is awesome. She doesn't bother me. She's got a great spirit. I mean, you've heard her on the phone. She's awesome. There's not a bad bone in her body. And you feel the same way about Harper and Anaya, obviously. The fact of being a girl dad, there's another woman besides my wife who is dependent on me, and it's a responsibility, but at the same time, it's a responsibility and a job that I enjoy.
What was the thing that you say, and I love it, the residence?
Oh, my job, so, like, I have a day job, right? But ultimately, and I called you one day as a dad, right? But especially a girl dad. All I think about when I get up every morning, thank you, Jesus, appreciate it. I'm glad I got to see the light of another day, because as my uncle says, you could have not made the list to wake up, right? I told you that one day. Only thing I concern myself with every day when I wake up is, what can I do, what steps can I take to make sure the other 2 residents of my house are not in need of anything? That's my thought process every day. And if it doesn't align with that, or if it's a detour from that, I'll put it over to the side and I'll think about it later on. But if it doesn't vibe with that, I don't have time for it right now. As we kind of get ready to, like, wind things down a little bit, we met a few weeks ago. We had a State of the Union, just you and me. And one of the things we thought, and Adam, obviously, and we talked about, what have we not what have we not dove into? Topics, questions, and visionaries. We're opening the floor to you. If there's anything that you want us to cover, topics-wise, we have an idea of some stuff we're going to touch on, obviously. But if you have questions for us, send us a DM, send us an email, thevisionlab@yahoo.com. We answer all DMs. Some of you guys have our phone numbers. Call us, text us. We respond. Let me ask you, what's an area that you're looking to dive into?
Man, there's so much, right? I think you hit the nail on the head. We do this for other people.
Correct.
Right? We can easily go to YouTube, pick up a book, and read. But I know by and large, most people don't do that, right? A lot of people don't do that. And so I always am trying to think outside of the box on what is this person going to bring to the table, number one. How is our audience, our visionaries, what are they going to get from the guest or guests?
Right.
And how can it impact their life in a positive way? I think that we need to jump into sex at some point, because that's certainly a topic that begets conversation.
Right.
We've been really after. Last year, especially with the amount of devastating murders that took place.
What is called social injustice?
All of the social injustice.
That's a nice umbrella for it, right?
All of the social injustice that has happened and continues to happen. I would love to sit down with some police officers and law enforcement and have those type of conversations and really dive in deep, because there's always two sides to the coin. We want to go. We had Wes Williams on.
Oh, shout out to Wes.
Shout out to Wes,
the owner of Burger of I Am West End.
Yeah, and also a firefighter. But I want to have a fire, a chief of fire on. I think there's so many different things that we can do, and so many different topics that we can uncover. Marriage, right, is certainly something that we could talk about. So ultimately, it's always about the audience, always about the visionaries, what they want to learn. And again, I want to encourage everybody, if there's a topic that you really want us to uncover, shoot us a DM, let us know. We're certainly happy to go over it. It's a lot of fun, because there's growth in everything.
Yeah,
right?
we're learning just like you guys are, right? We did the episode with Erica Warren. Shout out to Erica. You look great, by the way, easy. And we talked about polygamy, for lack of a better word, right? Polyamorous relationships. And we were both like, this is so out of our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But we learned.
And I love being uncomfortable, too.
Yeah, and 'cause that's where we grow. You got to get uncomfortable. And she was so gracious to sit down with us and just really kind of break some things down that we just didn't understand. It was a really cool episode. And not to sidetrack you, right? But as I'm sitting here looking at this bottle and thinking about other people who have helped us along the way, we talked to him last week. Leo Brown of Barrels and Leaf, behind the brand. Leo, brother, we can't wait to meet you in person, obviously with COVID and all this stuff. But every time we have a conversation with Leo, it's great. We laugh, we cut up, we get things done. He's been awesome.
Great dude. Love you, Leo.
Obviously, Leo, we're going to try to see you at the golf tournament. If not, we're going to get to California at some point. But Leo Brown, thank you so much, sir, for all of your help and support. We appreciate you. Another group/person brand who has stood behind us is the great folks at Grand Brulot. It's a cognac cafe. Again, visionaries, we don't stand behind products that we don't believe in. This is like no cognac you've had before, we promise. It's the official cognac of the show. The Instagram is at Grand Brulot. That's BRULOT. They're not hard to find. Thank you to Francisco, the owner. We had a great conversation with him right before the holiday break. He will be on the show at some point. Keep an eye out for that. Thank you to our man, the flies do we know, Jameson. The Lovers team, everyone who was involved with this partnership. Jameson, thank you so much. Thank you to you and your wife.
It's a lifestyle.
Exactly, and he's an experience all to himself. Jameson, you've been great. We have enjoyed working with you, and obviously, we got some things we're working on in the future for sure.
Yeah, speaking of the future, I think you mentioned it before, the golf tournament. So all of my golfers that are out there, if you're in the DFW Metroplex or if you want to come to Dallas, right? Irving Golf Club on Saturday, June 19th, 8:30 shotgun start, second annual TheVisionLab Golf Classic, benefiting the Alzheimer's Association as well as the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of North Texas. Be on the lookout for just more engagement from the TheVisionLab podcast as well. We want to continue to connect with folks in the community, visiting a lot of shops. Obviously we'll be doing a lot of virtual interviews too. I think we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe.
Can we talk about who we want on the show and just give those open invites? From when we first started playing, we thought, okay, we want true visionaries on the show. Jay Prince, you have an open invite. Somehow, some way, we want you on the show. However, we got to make it happen. If we got to take a trip to Houston and get to the ranch, we're gonna make it happen. Chad Ochocinco, one, we want to get some of those cigars, but two, we want you on the show. Well, then you got a lot to offer our visionaries. You are showing more and more layers of yourself the further and further you get away from football. MJ, let's make it happen. MJ, we appreciate all the love. Let's make it happen. As I say MJ's name, the one and only, the beautiful and talented Bobby January. Thank you so much for all your support, Mama. We appreciate you. We can't wait to meet you in person as well. Obviously with COVID, we're all kind of still observing it. But there's so many people that we have to thank and just say thank you to. It's growth and gratitude. It's the underlying theme of this whole celebration of 100 episodes. Those people have been in our corner since we met them. I mean, we sent Bobby January a DM, and lo and behold, now we can call her on the phone. It's not every day that happens. We have a real relationship. It's really great to see where we've gone to this point.
She's the life coach now, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think, we got, like I said, a lot of things coming down the pipe. For my list, obviously, the guy that inspired me to create the TheVisionLab podcast is Tom Bilyeu. So it would be an honor to have him on the show. It's going to happen. We're going to put it out there. Believe in manifesting that. I'm going to also say Ed Milet. We're going to get you on, buddy. Ryan Stuman, you're here in Dallas, bro. We want you on the show. Let's make it happen. Smoke a couple of sticks and really just have some good conversation. I'd love to get Steve Harvey on, too.
Of course. Why not? We haven't. If you're a visionary, if you're about growth, improvement, no matter what industry or walk of life you're in, we are happy to sit down with you. We don't discriminate. If you got something to offer our listeners, again, because it's not about us. If you got something to offer our listeners to where we feel like it can make them better, it can serve them, because ultimately we're serving a community now. That's what we're doing at the end of the day. We're serving a community. By all means, hit us in a DM. Reach out to us. We're happy to have you on the show.
So as we wrap up this 100th episode, we wanted to really just take a pause and thank all the people that have been involved with us, and want to give us another shout out to Winter Events and her amazing support since day one of following us. Love you dearly. Thank you so much for what you do and all of your support. We're going to wind it down, man. We're going to enjoy the rest of the stick, kick back. Like I said, we just wanted to just show a lot of appreciation to those that have helped us along the way, give you a behind the scenes or behind the curtain look of what we've gone through, some of the things that we learned, hanging out here with Mo and enjoying a good stick, man.
One other person I had to say thank you to. It's our sister, Katrina Hurricane Harvey. 7-figure girls plus, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you with teenage daughters, tune into that show. It's a great concept. She's been amazing with us. We had her on the show. Awesome person. And if you need insurance, call her too. She works at State Farm, so by all means, get with Katrina Harvey.
So to all of our visionaries worldwide, thank you again for listening. Thank you again for tuning in. If you like the content that we provided today, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you can check us out every time we drop an episode. Remember,
hit the play button.
Each one of our guests are dropping nuggets of wisdom on the trail of life. Ultimately, my friends, it's up to you to pick them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening, however you're consuming this content. It's the 100th episode of the Vision Lab podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
Congratulations, Pete.
My man.
Blessings.